Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our regular council session of Wednesday, March 26, 2025. I will now call the meeting to order. And item 1.1 is the territorial acknowledgement. We acknowledge that we are in Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. Administrative and procedural issues. 2.1, approval of the agenda. I believe there's an addition to today's agenda.
There is, Your Worship. Please add 6.8, appointment to the North Tyndall Wellfield Advisory Committee.
Perfect, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So 6.8, appointment to the North Tyndall Wellfield Committee has been added to the agenda. If I have a motion to approve the amended agenda, that would be great. Moved by Councillor Strong, seconded by Councillor Lee. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carried. Thank you very much. Direct your attention to the Conflict of Interest Act. The Municipal Conflict of Interest Act members are required to declare a conflict of interest prior to any discussion on the matter. 2.3, approval of the minutes of the February 26, 2025 regular council meeting. A motion to approve those minutes, please. Moved by Councillor McCormick, seconded by Councillor Redmond. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carried. There's another motion that the minutes of the March 19th, 2025 special council meeting be approved. Could I have somebody to move that, please? Moved by Councillor Fromm, seconded by Deputy Mayor Gould. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Business arising is included and will be reviewed by our CAO. Go ahead, Mr. Herrick.
Thank you, Your Worship. Business arising is at pages 13 and 14 of Council's information package. Page 13 relates to the regular meeting of Council of February 26, 2025. There are 6 items. They are all complete, and they're there for your reference.
Yay.
Stop there and ask if there are any questions before I move on. Hearing none, I'll move on to the ongoing action list, and there are a number of items here that have been on the list for a while. Sale of surplus property in Spring Hill, a demolition of McGee Street in Spring Hill, the designation of Swan Creek Protected Wilderness Area as protected is not complete, and the execution of the Shaw Rural Housing Development Agreement in Spring Hill is not complete. I understand on the fourth one that we're awaiting the signature of the province of Nova Scotia. Any questions, Your Worship?
Doesn't appear to be.
Thank you.
Good to go. Thank you very much, Mr. Herrick.
You're welcome.
2.5, public hearings. There are no public hearings or presentations for today's meeting. There are no strategic priority issues today. And number 4, major organizational items. There are none of those. Number 5, organizational policy and bylaw items. 5.1, first reading the bylaw to amend the LUB 25-03 to rezone PID number 25182171, 15518 Highway 6 Upper Malagash. Director Boone, you have the floor.
Thank you, Worship. Members of Council, I just want to note that normally our planner, Kira Norgren, attends the meetings for the planning application. She is on her way to Halifax to a planning conference. So just wanted to note that to the members of Council as well as the public that may be watching. So the first application on your screen is introduced by the mayor, is a first reading application and is a rezoning. So just going to do a quick highlight on the subject property. Align this. This property is currently zoned agriculture. It's one of those examples of a small rural lot that has the agricultural zone, which we have in a lot of our areas. We've had this conversation on many rezonings in the past. This particular property is located at the corner of the Malagash Road and Highway 6, or the Sunrise Trail. It's not far from the county line. Folks may know this intersection. I have a couple of pictures to show you shortly. No agricultural operations currently on this property or even in close proximity. A lot of areas around here, it's a village area, largely residential. There's a small commercial enterprise just across the street from this, as well as a lot of the agricultural lands that are designated as such are zoned as such as well, are wooded and not in production. So this request from the applicant is to rezone the property to country commercial, and it's to allow 3 separate uses. I have a site plan I'll show you here in a moment, but it would allow proposed uses of a small takeout restaurant, automotive service with a little bit more of a focus on off-road vehicles, side-by-sides and four-wheelers, because it is in close proximity to the Trans-Canada Trail and some other trails within the trails network in the municipality. And there is a lack of public washrooms, especially for those using the trails. So these folks thought if they created public washrooms along with the takeout restaurant, that would be a good combination of business enterprises. So the next slide in front of you is just a concept plan of how they want to lay out the site. This is just very conceptual at this point, actually very, very professionally drawn site plan. We don't have full building plans yet because they're not quite at that stage. So it would be in two forms. So you can have more than one main use on a lot, and you can have more than one main building under our bylaw. So to the left on the larger site plan would be the automotive service area and the public washrooms, access for the public, of course, but there would also be a washroom inside the business component because it's required under the building code to have staff washrooms on a commercial or enterprise as such. And then to the right on that, closer to the Highway 6, would be where the small takeout would be. So that washroom would be available to the public that may be just traveling through, or for those that are taking advantage of the takeout restaurant. As I mentioned, it's three potential changes, or uses on the site. And one thing that we have discussed with the applicant, as we do with most commercial enterprises, is driveway access by approval by Provincial Public Works is always a key thing we ask folks to look into very early in the stage to make sure that there's no issues with access. The plan would be to have two driveway accesses, one from Malagash Road and one from Highway 6. Again, would be subject to approval from Provincial Public Works. So this is just some photos from the area, give you a little context. To the left, you're actually looking down the Sunrise Trail towards the Colchester line, the upper left. That's where there's a small automotive sales facility, small office. There's no actual automotive repair or service on that site, just a small facility, small office building that supports the sales there. To the upper right is the area you can see. It's just an overgrown lot. There was a residential property. Unfortunately, there was a fire here a number of years ago, but the remains of that building was removed. So it's just kind of an overgrown field at this point. Lower left is looking up from the site on Malagash Road, and to the right is looking down to the main intersection from the Malagash Road again. Only included the sign that's on the corner for a couple of reasons. One is we may have to work around that with Public Works, but they'll talk about that when it comes to driveway accesses and site distances, but also to show you that there are quite a number of services that are in the area, but none would be included in what the proponent is proposing and bringing forward. So, Your Worship, members council, from a financial implication, nothing specifically to the municipality and costs here. Proposed development would obviously have a chance to stimulate some economic activity in the area, close to the Colchester boundary, so we could see some intermunicipal economic activity with people traveling from either side of the county line to come to this area. And obviously, I did mention it here in the notes, but I always mention that new commercial development creates new commercial tax assessment. Environmental implications, none specific, no water courses. It's identified in this area. Subject property doesn't have access, obviously, to municipal wastewater, so it would be a Department of Environment approval for on-site sewage disposal. And as with any commercial application that requires food service, and that's all permitted, and licenses are put through the Department of Health when you come to food service. So those things would all be part of the business getting established, but from our perspective, it's really those main things. Community engagement, if council chooses, a public hearing, it will be in the recommendation here to set that. Schedule a public hearing, we follow Section 206 of the Municipal Government Act, and we follow our process for notifications through a number of processes and public notifications. So, Your Worship, unless there's any particular question, the recommendation is before you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Director Boone. The recommended motion is that council approve first reading of the bylaw to amend the land use bylaw 25-03 to rezone 15518 Highway 6 Upper Malagash, PID number 25182171, from agricultural zone AG to country commercial zone, and to schedule a public hearing for the proposed amendment. If someone would like to make that motion. Moved by Councillor Evan, seconded by Councillor Strong. And any questions or comments on this from anybody in council? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Thank you very much. Motion carried unanimously. Thank you very much. 5.2, first reading, bylaw to amend the LUB 25-04 to rezone PID 25350869, Blue Sea Road, Malagas Center. Director Boone, you have the floor again.
Thank you, Your Worship. Again, members of council, at first reading stage on this application as presented by the mayor, we're now moving just up the road to Malagas Center and onto the Blue Sea Road. This application is slightly different, is agricultural land, again, that we're looking at rezoning. But the current use of the property, it is vacant, and it's looking to move this to residential recreation zone, or the RREC zone, to create residential building lots. Now, Your Worship, I will note that in the AG zone, you can subdivide land and create residential lots. The proponent here is just looking at making the residential zone change. One is, as he sells the lots, it kind of protects the land uses around the properties, but also it does change slightly the setbacks that they would be required. So the AG zone, as we've known and have discussed before, especially returning councilors, has some fairly large setbacks. So this is making it more in line with what the use of the properties would be. There's no agricultural operations currently on the property. Very limited in the area as well. A lot of over forested areas here, and often we have forested lands that are zoned agricultural. But to the upper left on that, just across upper left corner of that zoning map, Your Worship, there are some farm fields in the back there, mostly pasture or hay crop fields, but there is some farming operations there across the street and behind the wooded areas. And if you continue further up Blue Sea Road, you'll run into some farming operations, but quite a distance away. So a little perspective, Golden Brook is one of the property boundaries for this location. So this is just giving you perspective. Residential property, the closest one is literally across the street, the small mini home you see, and there's a few residential properties a little further up the road from that. But predominantly rural residential kind of neighborhood with a fair bit of wooded areas as well. And as you can see, the picture looking to the lower right is actually at the bridge at Golden Brook. And if you look at this property from a residential development perspective, when you look in both directions from this property, I'm not a site distance engineer, but it's a relatively flat, straight stretch of road, and the only real curve, hill or crest you can see is quite some distance up the road, and the property, I'm pretty much at the extreme end of the property on that photo. And just give you an idea, Golden Brook does have a fair flow of water through it, so any residential developments will have to adhere to our water course setbacks off that brook. So proposed project, you can see in the upper right, there is a sketch here. This is just very preliminary. Stillman On-Site Inc. are the designers on this, but they're also the developer, owner of the property. They're looking at just creating kind of large recreational, residential recreational lots. 2 lots would potentially be created on the Golden Brook, as I mentioned, but of course they would have to adhere to our shoreline setbacks as mentioned. And you can create 1 lot without frontage, Your Worship and members of council, under our subdivision bylaw. But often what happens on the survey plan, you can see not all of these lots have frontage on the road, but just as information, you can create the 1 lot without frontage, and what happens on the survey plan, they just create a right-of-way to access that lot. So it's not uncommon to see developments laid out this way. On-site sewer systems would be required. This, as I mentioned before, is going to allow for larger building footprints and more flexibility in where structures could be placed. Smaller setbacks, obviously, because we're going to the recreational residential zone. So the lot requirements actually in the AG zone per lot size are actually smaller, but the setbacks are larger. So a little bit of confusion. I just want to make sure by making this zoning change, the requirement for overall lot sizes is actually slightly larger. It's just the setbacks that would be minimized somewhat. So moving on, try to catch up myself, sorry. So implications, proposed development would create new taxable lots, obviously. The additional increase in the development in the area supports tourism activities and naturally stimulates the economy, possibly connections to what we just talked about in the previous application. Environmental implications, none have been identified. I have noted that, as with all of these properties, on-site sewage disposal systems would have to be approved. The developer is quite familiar with that. They're both a surveyor and a septic designer, so they understand that process. And obviously, as I mentioned, we'd probably update this information, Your Worship, in a public hearing if we get it to it, is that setbacks from water courses as per the bylaw would have to be adhered to. So again, from a community engagement perspective, if council chooses to advance this to a first reading, we would organize and advertise a public hearing and have that scheduled in accordance with the Municipal Government Act, and our notices would follow our due process. So unless there's specific questions, Your Worship, or members of council, the recommendation is before you.
Thank you very much, Director Boone. The recommended motion is the council approve first reading of the bylaw to amend the land use bylaw 25-04 to rezone PID 25350869 between 148 Blue Sea Road and Golden Brook Malagash Center from agricultural zone to residential recreational zone, and to schedule a public hearing for the proposed amendment. If I have a motion to that effect, that would be great. Move.
I have a question too.
We'll get to that, yep. Okay, moved by Councilor Redmond, seconded by Councilor Fromm. And question? Go ahead, Councilor Redmond.
The slide could go back to the photographs. And I just want people to take note of that road on the bottom right. That is what the roads in Malagash look like, through the whole of Malagash. Thank you,
You're
Your
very
Honor.
welcome, Councilor Redmond. Anyone else have any comments? Ready for the question? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carried unanimously. Thank you very much. Scott's a little faster there today.
I said aye.
The delay's not as bad today for some reason. You must be jumping out ahead a little bit, so. 5.3, yeah. Yeah, well, there's something going on in Newfoundland. Their internet's faster, maybe, or something, I'm not sure. 5.3.
They didn't.
Go ahead, Scott.
They didn't get the same seaside one over here.
5.3, tax reduction and exemption policy. Director Hurdle, you now have the floor.
Thank you, Your Worship. We went over this in Cal last week, so I'm not going to go into a ton of detail. Just highlight the changes. This is a policy that comes to council every year around council time. The only changes in the policy are the dates to update it to 2025 and removing 2 partial exempted properties, one that sold during the year, so is no longer eligible, and one that is no longer being leased by the Blue Scat Snowmobile Club. Your Worship.
Thank you very much. The recommended motion is the council approve the tax reduction and exemption policy 19-03 as amended. Moved by Councilor Strong. Seconded by Councilor McCormick. Any questions on this? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you very much. 5.4, low income tax exemption policy.
All right.
Director Hurdle, you have the floor again.
Thank you, Your Worship. Similarly, we went through this last week at Committee of the Whole. This is another policy that comes usually around budget time. It is the low income exemption policy that the council has in place. Per that policy, the threshold for the income and the amount of the exemption increases by CPI every year. CPI for 2024 was 2.3%. So the policy is being amended for that 2.3%. It has been built into the draft budget, and Your Worship, I'll give it back to you.
Thank you very much. The recommended motion is the council approve the low-income tax exemption policy 22-02 as amended and increase the income cutoff and exemption amounts respectively at $36,599 and $537. Moved by Councilor Hotelli and seconded by Councilor Fromm. Any questions or discussion on this? I have one. How many people last year took advantage of this, just out of curiosity?
There were 661 in 2024-2025.
Wow.
About 586 in 2023-2024.
Yeah, and I think that's a huge uptick over the last few years since we came in 2020, right? Yep. So, absolutely fabulous program, and it's being well used, which is good to hear, so.
Your Worship, if I may.
Sure, go ahead.
Oh, I'm not on. Oh, there we go. We have been trying to push it when people are coming in, and we do mail it out to the ones that applied last year's. So if they're still eligible, they can submit.
Absolutely, good, very good, thank you very much. Anyone else, any comments? Ready for the question? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried unanimously, thank you very much. 6, business issues, 6.1, Cape Door Plan, Director McCormick. Come on down on the back row. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Your Worship. Staff are seeking direction from Council to reassess the long-term vision and strategic direction of the Cape Door property. A memo in your Council package outlines key challenges and opportunities that are related to the site. Currently, the property faces several challenges, including limited site access, operational uncertainties, and public safety concerns such as the steep cliffs and the uneven pathways. Addressing these issues is crucial to ensuring the site sustainability and enhancing the visitor experience. And staff believe that by developing a long-term strategy for Cape Door, this will help to ensure that our municipal investments are purposeful, financially responsible, and align with the broader community and tourism goals. And staff believe that by reviewing the site's management and exploring alternative operational models, we can improve our oversight and optimize use of public funds and enhance the visitor experience with the goal to ensure that the site remains sustainable. So I'm happy to answer any questions from Council.
Thank you very much, Director McCormick. The recommended motion is that council immediately terminate the lease agreement with the existing tenant and operate the facility as a static display during the 25-26 fiscal year, and furthermore, direct staff to review potential options for future operation of the site and the level of financial commitment required to move forward with each option, and present recommendations at a future council meeting. If somebody would like to make that motion. Moved by Councilor Strong, seconded by Councilor McCormick. Anyone have any comments or questions on this? Seeing none, I'll ask for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you very much. 6.2, volunteer selection. Director McCormick.
Thank you again, Your Worship. Included in your council package, you'll find a memo detailing the 2025 Volunteer Award recipient selection. As stated during last week's council meeting, the municipality hosts an annual volunteer recognition event to honor individuals for their outstanding community contributions. And leading up to the event, nominations were accepted for both the Cumberland and the Provincial Volunteer Awards. This year's annual volunteer recognition event will honor 36 local volunteers on April 30th at the Dr. Carson Mary Murray Community Centre. Nominations included 1 family group, 1 youth, and 31 adults. 5 adult nominees and 1 family group were also considered for the Provincial Volunteer Awards in Halifax. So council had reviewed the nomination forms for the 5 volunteers, and these nomination forms highlighted their community impact. And after voting, Valerie Brown was selected as the municipality's 2025 Provincial Volunteer Adult Representative. And the Laird family was the sole nominee in the family category and will be submitted as the municipality's 2025 Provincial Volunteer Family Representative. So information on both Valerie and the Laird family's volunteer contributions are included in your council package.
Thank you very much, Director McCormick. The recommended motion is that council approve Valerie Brown as the municipality's adult volunteer representative of the year and the Laird family as the family representative volunteer of the year. Motion moved by Councilor Telling, seconded by Councilor Redmond. Anyone have any comments on this? Councilor Redmond, go ahead.
I just want to make note that all our volunteers, we recognize them daily, but it's really nice to pick out a family and a single person to receive this award. When will they find out if they will be representing the county provincially?
Your Worship?
Go ahead.
We'll be contacting them tomorrow to let them know that.
Oh, they will be?
Yes, we'll be letting them know tomorrow. Our staff will contact them and let them know that they've been selected as the volunteer representatives.
And then that entails that they go to Halifax for the award?
Your Worship? Yep, yes, they will. They first they'll go to the again the Cumberland Volunteer Award on April 30th, and then they'll be invited to the Halifax one, which I believe takes place in September of each year usually. But I'd have to double check on that.
Okay.
But there is a little bit of time in between. But
Okay.
but yes, they would be invited to attend that event.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anyone else? I will only add to that, I'm so much looking forward to the event on April 30th in Spring Hill. It's always a very fun time. It's always great to recognize so many great community volunteers, so. I'm not sure what's going on over here, but anyway, you doing something? Okay. Okay, so, we're ready for the motion. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Motion carried
Aye.
unanimously. Thank you very much. 6.3, Joint Accessibility Plan, Director, Deputy CAO McCracken, the floor is now yours. What are you?
Thank you, Your Worship. As council knows, the Accessibility Act requires us, the municipality, to have a accessibility plan and renewed and shared every 3 years. Last week at the Committee of the Whole, the renewed plan was shared with council, and a presentation was presented as well. As I mentioned, this is a new 3-year plan and includes areas of focus such as goods and services, the built environment, information and communication, employment, and transportation. There's a copy of the plan in your package, and I'm happy to take any questions, Your Worship.
Thank you very much. Recommended motion is the council receive the Joint Accessibility Plan as presented. Could I have a mover for that motion, please? Moved by Councilor Telling, seconded by Councilor
Me.
McCormick. Oh, Councilor Lockhart. We'll let him in today. Okay with that, Councilor McCormick? Okay, thank you very much. Any questions or comments on this? Seeing none, I'll ask for the call for the question. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried unanimously. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much, Peter. 6.4, non-resident deed transfer tax. Let our CEO have the floor.
Thank you, Your Worship. This item is essentially a letter that has been drafted for you to sign on behalf of council. There are a couple of letters, actually. The first one is about non-resident deed transfer tax and reducing barriers for domestic trade. And it's written to the Honorable John Lohr, the Minister of Municipal Affairs, and dated today. This letter is further response to yours of February 11th of 2025. Under separate cover, we recently wrote regarding resource development, and that letter is next. Cumberland Municipal Council is in support of the efforts by your government and others to facilitate interprovincial trade and commerce. We're delighted to see Premier Houston take a lead role in the national conversation amongst his colleagues to do this. In this environment of isolationist policy making on the part of the U.S. government and the resulting global trade war, it's critical our province does what it can to develop new markets and reduce the trade restrictions on existing domestic markets for our goods and services. That said, given our geographic location literally next door to both New Brunswick and PEI, we also support an unencumbered flow of goods, services, and people between Nova Scotia and our closest neighbors. Everyday life in Cumberland County includes the integration of procurement of goods and services with our maritime neighbors, with many folks crossing provincial barriers daily, perhaps multiple times, to work, shop, play, and attend appointments and the like. It shouldn't come as a surprise that this integration extends to families, with many living in one province but owning or seeking to own seasonal residences in another to be able to vacation or spend time closer to their families. The recent announcement by your government to increase non-resident deed transfer tax from 5 to 10%, rather than it increases rather than reduces barriers to interprovincial and intra-regional relationships. If it is implemented as scheduled, it will depress real estate values and assessment, but more importantly, and of more concern, it will send a message to our neighbors that perhaps we're not all in this together. Certainly not the narrative we're all trying to foster. We implore your government to reconsider the increase in the non-resident deed transfer tax across the province. This is a provincial issue, but it's magnified here in Cumberland County for the reasons noted above. Failing a reconsideration of the increase at the provincial level, we respectfully request the increase not be implemented for transactions in Cumberland County. Thank you for the opportunity to provide feedback on these important issues. And that's for your signature, Your Worship.
Thank you very much, Mr. Herrick. Item 6.5, we'll move right along to the next letter. Is the letter from, regarding our response to a letter from Minister Lohr regarding resource development.
Thanks
your
once
breath,
again.
go ahead.
Again, a letter to the Honorable John Lohr, and in response to his letter of February, wherein he sought council support for increased resource development. Minister Lohr, Honorable Minister Lohr, I write today in response to your letter of February 11th, in which you solicited the support of Municipal Council regarding a reduction in interprovincial trade barriers and in removing barriers to resource development in Nova Scotia. We'll respond regarding interprovincial trade barriers under separate cover. That was the letter I just read. Today's response speaks to resource development. It's not lost on us that the Cumberland Basin specifically is home to oil and gas potential, and that exploration and extraction of these resources could potentially have significant economic impact on our municipality, the province, and even the region. To that acknowledgement, I would add that we also see the development of the well-documented geothermal energy potential in the Spring Hill area being an important element of resource development. While it's certainly true that the current global trade environment makes it more important than ever to explore and implement policies that make our province more self-reliant, and that resource development has the potential to contribute to that state of self-reliance, Cumberland Municipal Council is of the opinion that resource development cannot take an at-all-costs approach. To be fair, there are those in our region who say, go ahead, encourage all development of these resources. There are many in our region, though, who have expressed serious safety concerns and concerns around water supply impacts regarding fracking. There are also concerns about impact on nature and the natural beauty of our region. With that potential and those concerns as a background, Municipal Council is not of the opinion that it should say an unqualified yes to any and all and every project and opportunity for resource exploration and extraction. Rather, Council is of the view that when specific potential projects are within its regulatory purview to render a decision or to express favor or disdain, it should do so on a case-by-case basis. As you well know, the process for decision-making on important community projects and regulatory applications at the municipal level includes the opportunity for robust community input. We are collectively of the opinion that support for each project should be contingent on its benefits and risks. For these reasons, Cumberland Municipal Council is saying neither yes nor no in each and every case of resource development. Rather, we say maybe, maybe not. We say, show us the details, let us examine the risks and benefits and consult on each project. Yours very truly, Rod Gilroy.
Perfect, thank you very much. So those letters will be signed today and sent later today or tomorrow morning, and we will await responses from the appropriate ministers. Item 6.6, Pugwash Stormwater System Upgrade. Councilor Hotelling, you have the floor.
Thank you, Your Worship. So I'm just bringing this agenda item as the residents in the village of Pugwash have been asking for the storm system upgrade. Since I was elected, in fact, the day after I was sworn in, I was put right into a meeting talking about this issue and have been being made aware of it since. So many are having issues with flooding, as well as there are many in the community who want safe, active transportation via sidewalks, and the storm system needs to be upgraded before sidewalks can be built, or we're ripping up brand new sidewalks to fix the storm, which doesn't make any sense. So as such, I would like to make the following motion: that council direct staff to provide at a future council meeting a report summarizing the issues related to stormwater system in Pugwash, and further that staff draft a letter to Nova Scotia Public Works requesting that improvements to the stormwater system be considered and scheduled. And I'll make that motion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can I have a seconder for that motion, please? Seconded by Councilor Redmond. Any comments or questions on this?
I have a comment.
Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just for clarity, and I know that council is aware of this, and certainly Councilor Telling is aware of this, but for clarity and for the public's information, streets, sidewalks, and the stormwater management system in the village of Pugwash is a provincial responsibility, not a municipal responsibility. And that's why you see council writing to the provincial government to advocate on behalf of the residents of Pugwash for improvements in those systems rather than making investments in them. Just want to make that clear, Your Worship.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Any other comments? Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried unanimously. Thank you very much. 6.7, Basic Income Guarantee. Councilor Hotelling, back to you
Thank
again.
you.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. So as you are aware, Council had a presentation from the Basic Income Guarantee folks last week. The request was to have our new council reaffirm our support of a guaranteed livable basic income. The presentation highlighted many reasons for this, including food insecurity, housing insecurity, homelessness, opportunity for ongoing education, improving mental and physical health, supporting local economy, and decreasing healthcare and incarceration policing costs as well as people's dignity. So, as such, I would just like to make the following motion, that council reaffirms their support for basic income guarantee by sending a letter to the Premier and our Member of Parliament asking for support for basic income guarantee in Nova Scotia, and to call on NSFM to support basic income guarantee and speak out to the Federation of Canadian Municipalities.
Good. Thank you very much. Can I have a seconder for that motion, please? Second by Councillor Strong. Thank you. So any comments or questions on this? I'll make one. I did a little research on this. I obviously was not here last week when the discussion took place. I was away. But I did do some research on this, and I'm not sure about other areas, but I do know that there are a couple, at least, countries in Europe, Germany being one, where they do have a basic guaranteed income for all citizens. So, and I got some insight as to how it works and how it's set up and whatever, and it works very well there, and it's a very interesting setup. So, I'll leave it at that. Anyone else? Are you ready for the question? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Motion carried. Thank you very much. 7, information, 6.8. We're going to go to our CAO for this one. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. This item was added at the approval of the agenda stage, and it relates to the appointment of a citizen representative to the North Tyndall Wellfield Committee. And council had a previous conversation about this at an in-camera session, as it is authorized to do. And the recommendation is that council approve the appointment of Daniela McKay to the North Tyndall Wellfield Committee. Your Worship.
Thank you very much. If someone would like to make that motion. Moved by Councillor Fromm, seconded by Deputy Mayor Gould. Any questions on this or any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried unanimously. Thank you very much. Information item 7.1, Councillor recognition. We're going to 7.1, Councillor Lockhart. You have the floor.
Thank you. I got a few today. Had lots of time thinking Newfoundland. First, I'd like to start out by congratulating with some Cumberland County roots, Nathan McKinnon on his 1,000 gold points. Nathan's father hails from Spring Hill, our CEO, and myself grew up with, and same with Councillor McCormick with Graham. So I'd like to give him a congratulations. Nellie Gilroy on her 91st birthday celebration. And my good friend and chairman of the 4 O'Clock Club, Bill Mills, celebrating his 88th birthday this week. And definitely a little party for him Saturday afternoon. And today, another one, Laura Jones Smith. 35 years today, Foodland opened in Spring Hill, and she is the only one original employee left. So I think that's quite a feat. My wife worked there for 19 years with her, so I want to congratulate all those people. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Lockhart. Next up is Councillor Lee. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. So I wanted to mention Laura DeBorn, who is a dedicated teacher at River Hibbert District School. I wanted to take a moment to recognize not only the incredible work she does in the classroom, but also her many contributions beyond teaching. Laura takes on the responsibility of ensuring that every graduating class has an unforgettable experience. She leads multiple fundraisers and works closely with students to organize a safe, memorable grad trip, prom, and graduation. I believe there's 8 this year. So you can imagine the fundraising efforts. I have personally witnessed the immense effort she puts into this. In addition, Laura is a constant presence at school events and sporting activities where she and her family are there cheering on the students she supports. Her involvement and dedication, it's amazing, and it makes a big difference to the students who attend that school. So I want to say thanks, Laura. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Oh, you want me to sign them? Okay. Well, let's adjourn. Can we adjourn the meeting first? You okay with this?
I'm good.
Okay, I have a motion to adjourn, please. Moved by Deputy Mayor Gould. We are now adjourned. Thank you very much, folks.